I had never met an octopus until actually after the book was published, not like met in, it by touch. But I have since done it a few times and it's
I'm
pretty
like,
magical
where did
too.
you meet the octopus? Where did you meet the octopus by touch? What you have to tell us that story? When Shelby Van Pelt took a community writing class on a whim in 2013, she had no idea it would eventually lead to a best-selling novel, a read with Jenna pick that has since sold over 2 million copies. Shelby's book, Remarkably Bright Creatures, is a life-affirming tale of friendship, second chances, and aquariums. The book is perhaps most known for its unforgettable narrator, a grumpy but lovable octopus named Marcellus. Now, 4 years after its publication, Remarkably Bright Creatures is a Netflix movie. It stars Sally Field as Tova, a lonely woman who cleans Marcellus's tank and ends up developing a bond with him. I'm Jenna Bush Hager, and this is Open Book with Jenna. Shelby, I'm so happy to see you. I feel like in the last 4 years since this book that we both love so much published, your life has been wild. What has the last 4 years been like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, we've been on a journey, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, from it feels like the best kind of snowball that just kind of has kept growing over the last 4 years, from initially being on TV with you, talking about the book when it came out in May of 2022. It found so many readers through Read with Jenna. And then over the next few years, it was just, I think, a lot of word of mouth and, independent booksellers, librarians, book clubs. And then I feel like the movie has just added another huge layer to this giant, wonderful snowball that has kept on rolling for the last 4 years.
I mean, I'll never forget that when you were in the studio with me in 2022, you told me, and I can't remember if this was on air or off, but that you were you were a stay-at-home mom. You had 2 little kids. When this book published, you had a 4 and a 6-year-old. And I remember you said that you wrote this like as you were doing laundry and taking care of them, and kind of in those COVID years where there were no boundaries.
None.
And this was your first book. Like, this does not really happen to debut authors very often, that their work sort of changes their lives in this incredible way. But when you think back to those years of writing the book, but even in 2022 when we were together, like, what goes through your mind?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's funny because I feel like life has changed so much. I was sort of the primary parent up until that time, and my husband is the primary parent now, and I get to go and travel around and do book events and movie press events, and but things also don't change. I feel like like dinner still has to be made every night, and the laundry still has to be folded, and so much of those like kind of mundane life things just keep rolling along in the background, no matter whether you're a best-selling author or not.
The movie adaptation of this book, it has this audience that I think, I was surprised how many men, including my husband, although I wasn't surprised because I knew he would love it, but are watching it and discussing it and interested in it. I think it has the readers who fell in love with it, but more, like, it's kind of expanded this community who have fallen in love with this octopus. What is this journey? You're an executive producer on it. What has this part of it been like for you?
Well, I think you hit on one of my favorite parts of all of this that's been happening the last few days since the movie released a couple days ago. Is all of the grown men who are crying.
Yeah.
So many men crying and sharing reaction videos of themselves crying on Instagram. It's like my entire feed right now is men crying about an octopus, which I think is a little bit unexpected. I mean, yes and no. Obviously, it's a very emotional movie. But I think it has like reached this like male audience that was not really, I don't know, I didn't see it coming. And it's been just wonderful.
I remember in the years leading up to this moment, people would say to me like, Oh, didn't you choose that octopus book? Or I was reading that octopus book that you chose, and so I understand this concept that partly you're like, I should have just called it, Remarkably Bright Creatures works, but I could have just called it that octopus book.
Just octopus.
Octopus. Have
Yes.
people, I mean, I think Marcellus, there's like something so unbelievably lovable about him. What have people said to you in the last 4 years? I mean, I'm sure you've heard many things, but over, people falling in love with the book, but also now with the film.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites was my local bookstore in Illinois. All of the staff at one point were kind of fighting over who got to be Marcellus's girlfriend. They were all just like, we have a collective crush on this octopus, which is interesting because I think then there's people who see him more as like kind of a grandparent or
Yeah.
I don't know, he fills this weird role of like, I think it's really nice the idea that there might be someone out there who's just kind of following you around and caring about you and like nudging things to help things go your way when things aren't going your way. Which is, I think, in the film version, you even get a more heightened sense of that because rather than having these interlude chapters where you hear Marcellus's voice, where you sort of see these journal entries every few chapters, in the film, it is a true voiceover. Mm-hmm. So Marcellus can pop in anytime and let you know what his thoughts are on what's happening. And so he feels a little bit more like ever present in the movie, which I love. And can we talk about the visual effects? Because,
Yes.
oh my gosh, they blew it out of the water. There is actually a real octopus and a CG octopus, both on the screen in the movie. And I can't tell the difference. They did that great of a job.
Lewis Pullman, one of the main actors, was on our show, and he said, of course, like, because he played opposite Sally Field, who is iconic in every single way, it was the easiest job, but like wildly, Marcellus, like, because I think it's like, I loved this book so much, and I was like, how are they going to adapt it? How are they going to make this book, which to me was like, perfect and and to many people, to 2 million people plus, it was beloved. So, and it is a hard adaptation. And because you have an octopus as a main character, is this almost the main character. And yet it worked, which is like incredible. And that's what Lewis said. He said, even like playing up against, or acting with Marcellus like was effortless. He could do it. And I think it spoke really to how the technology was.
Well, I feel like one of my favorite things that readers will say to me once in a while, I'll have a reader come through a signing line and say, I actually forgot that Marcellus was an octopus midway through reading this book. He seemed to fit. He was real. He was there. I forgot that this is sort of a fantastical leap of reality that I'm being asked to make here. And I feel like Sally and Lewis sort of got that, like, to them on the set filming, like Marcellus was absolutely real. And I find it so fascinating that in a lot of those scenes, there wasn't anything there when they were filming.
Yeah.
They had a puppet.
That's what I was going to say. He said it was a puppet or, a doll or whatever,
Yeah. But a lot of times they would, even that puppet, they would use it to sort of figure out the blocking of the scene, and then they would actually film without even the puppet there. And so it was just purely imagination that allowed them to act those scenes. And I've got to I think Sally Field has a wonderful imagination.
Yes.
You must, in order to be, as good as she is at what she does. And isn't Lewis fantastic? I love him so much.
Yes.
He was so perfect for that role.
There was like a rumor going around. I mean, first of all, when Sally Field was here, she had the copy of the book that she'd like marked up, her original copy that she read, I guess, when they'd started discussing, could this be an adaptation? And she was a fan of the book, sort of first and foremost. And then I read somewhere and I was like, is this true? Like, could Shelby have had even imagine like that Sally Field was your Tova? Like, as you wrote her, she was sort of in your, like, if you, and we ask authors all the time, like, who would be your dream actor to play this role? And it's pretty audacious to be like, I have one, Sally Field, the icon that is. But is that true that you kind of always could see her playing this part?
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of true, actually. I am very visual when I write, so I'm always casting my people in my books, and sometimes it's celebrities, sometimes it might be kind of like an amalgamation of real life people, but I very much have like a visual in my head of what that person looks like and how they move and how they talk. And I had kind of had Sally Field in mind when I was kind of casting Tova. And of course, my writer friends and I, this is our favorite game. We sit around and say, well, who is this person? Who is that person? Not so much in I mean, it's all very it's like fantasy at that point,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
You're not actually thinking that they're going to really make a movie of your book, but it's just a fun thing to kind of talk about.
But how crazy is that? Like when you think about sort of the universe, which is a big part of this book, is sort of the universe via an octopus pushing you towards companionship or healing or whatever it is. How crazy is it that in your mind that was kind of who you could see, and then flash forward 4 years later, there's a film.
Right, there she is.
Yeah, there she is. Like that. Does that feel full circle to you?
It does. I mean, I think there are so many things about the journey of this book that feel like a lightning strike or the most lucky thing that you could imagine happening. From when the book came out, when I was querying it to agents, actually, it was right when my octopus teacher was coming out. And I have for years said oh, that was the luckiest thing that'll ever happen to me in my life. But I think that's been surpassed now by having Sally Field play my main character, in very much the way that I was imagining it when I was writing it. I don't know. The universe has been on this book's side from the very beginning.
Let's go back to 2020. You wrote short stories, and even let's go farther back. So I think 2013 you started taking, and you told us this when you were on the show, you started taking kind of a community writing class.
Yes.
At that, what spoke to you in that moment? Why did you do that? Did you think I want to publish a novel, or I just want to be creative, or what was it that inspired you?
Well, I was at kind of a career crossroads at that point. We didn't have kids yet, but we were, wanting to start a family, and I had this job in my 20s that was very long hours, a lot of travel. Just I could kind of see that this was not going to fit with what I wanted my future to look like. So I had taken a step back from that and was really just sort of figuring out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I was working in a running store selling running shoes for a while. I just, was doing all these kind of
do you like to
odd
run?
Little things. I do. I used to run a lot. I'm a 12-time marathoner, actually, but
wow.
Those days are way behind me now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were kind of searching.
I was searching, and I'd always been good at writing, and I'd never tried writing fiction. I kind of didn't know what to write about. It was oh, well, it seems like it would be neat to make up stories for a living, but where do you find the stories? And so, that was really the search that led me to, actually, I kind of found these octopus videos not really looking for that. But I remember, falling in love with octopuses online through all of the mischievous things that they do, and, really thinking that I wanted that to be a character that I would write.
And so you started in this community writing class, and I know that you started sort of in short stories, and that actually even the first couple chapters of this book took you many years to write.
Yeah. Well, I love short stories and flash fiction. Even to this day, that is my sort of escape hatch if I get really, really stuck when I'm working on a longer piece. It's well, just sit down and write a story that's 1,000 words,
yes.
and you can do it in a weekend, and you get to the end.
And it kind of revalidates your work, right? You can do this.
It feels so good to get to the end of a story when you're struggling to get through, writing a novel. So I tell that to, people always ask me for writing advice, which I think is so funny, because it's guys, I've written one book. It's not, I don't know what I'm doing probably any more than the next person, but I do think that, these shorter pieces can be really, really valuable, just for your own psyche, if nothing else. So I was writing a lot of short stories. Even, the first when I was writing the character of Marcellus, it was sort of an octopus's diary. In my mind at that point, I was not really thinking like, oh, this is going to be a novel. It was just like a thing that I was working on, trying to get the character right. And the humans came into the story, and then I was kind of like, okay, I think I could make this into an actual novel, and it could be sort of this story of friendship between this octopus and these humans.
Mm-hmm. So in 2020, you really kind of committed. I read you made a writing pact.
I did, yes.
What did that writing pact do?
Well,
or say?
I have learned that I am a person who needs a deadline. If I don't have a deadline, it's not going to get done. So, and I think that was part of the reason I had sort of just like, floundered around with it for so many years there was no sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. So I had this writing pact that we started actually in the fall of 2019. So before any of the pandemic stuff, I had this great structure. We had a check-in every week, Thursday mornings. My critique partner and I, her name is Tara Weiss. She still writes. She lives in Atlanta, where I was living when I started writing. And we would check in every week and trade pages every week. And it was almost like having a beta read in process. A lot of times writers will write the whole draft and then give it out to people to read and get feedback. And she and I were sort of doing that in real time, like chunk by chunk. And she's very good at plot, and I'm not as good at plot. She writes mostly romance and romantic comedy, which have very structured plots.
Yeah.
And I kind of needed, I think, some of that feedback. So there are certain scenes in Remarkably Bright Creatures which are very informed by like romance tropes and romance plotting. You have a grand gesture, you have this sort of like missed connection trope. And I think all of that was really brought in by, being like all of my critique partners really at that time were romance writers of one sort or another.
Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic broke out.
Yes.
And you were, halfway, or how much had you written? You were in process.
I was probably like 30%. Like, 30% it was in process.
In process, you had little babies,
little
kids.
Yeah.
And how did you finish it? And did the pandemic, like I hear from a lot of writers, sort of the hardest block is telling themselves like, who am I to write a book? The inner critic. And sometimes that's fear. And when you're living in something like the pandemic, it can kind of wipe everything out. Like, why not? Why should I not publish a novel? So how did the pandemic sort of affect your psyche and getting this all done?
Well, I feel like there was this sense, especially early in the pandemic, through that summer of 2020, where it was the first time in my life where I felt like I just really don't know what our world is going to look like. We don't know. Like there was this sense that of like finality, or like life as we know it could end tomorrow, because it kind of had done that, the previous spring. And so I do think that added, another deadline of sorts, almost like just, you got to get this done because you don't, the future is not guaranteed. And I think there was just a sense of the greater fears and unknowns of living in that environment sort of push away some of these smaller self-doubts, and that stuff sort of starts to feel a little bit trivial. And then the book also is a book really about being kind of like stuck and trapped.
Yes.
And it's not lost on me that
and
loneliness.
Yeah.
I remember looking out my front window one day at like people were walking their dogs going by, where you can see people but you can't talk to them. And having like my own little Marcellus moment where I was like, is this what it's like to be in an aquarium? You just see all these people walking by, but you can't talk to them. You can't touch them. You're just stuck behind glass.
My gosh. Yeah, you were like, this is, life is imitating art.
Yes.
What about the practicality of it, like with your little kids, and like, how did you find the time to write?
Oh my gosh. Someone pointed this out to me the other day at a book signing, and I thought it was so hilarious. So in the acknowledgments of the book, which I wrote, of course, in this would have been like 2021, I thanked Netflix.
Wow.
And someone was like, did you know that you were having a movie? And I read it. I said, did I really do that? And I looked and I was like, oh no, here's the context. I was thinking Netflix because my kids were watching Netflix because this was during the pandemic, and they would get, unfortunately, just sort of like parked in front of the TV for hours so that I could get some writing done. But I was just like, wow, that's weird.
That is
came full
wild.
circle.
It's the same sort of Sally Field moment where you're like,
yeah.
how could you have even imagined?
But no, they watched a lot of screen time while I was writing. I did a lot of writing at night while everyone was in bed. I was sort of chronically sleep deprived. I drank a lot of coffee. It was probably not like physically the healthiest time of my life, but so be it.
But you believed even then, in the midst of all of that, like that this story, you were like, okay, this story has to be told, or I want it to be told. I need to finish this.
Yeah, I felt like I had to get it done. And at that point I had, I'd probably had gotten past that sort of first act barrier that I had been bumping up against for so many years. And I had gotten into the meat of the story, and I didn't know really everything about how the plot was going to go. But one thing that I knew was that Marcellus was going to get free. Yeah. He was going to end his life in the sea where he belonged and not in the tank. And so I started to feel like I have to finish this book because that needs to happen. I'm now so attached to this character and the stakes here that like I have to just finish it. Even if I finish it and it sits in a drawer and, I read it, my husband reads it, my critique partners, even if we are the only people who ever read it, I need to finish it.
You needed to free Marcellus is what you
I
had
needed
to
free Marcellus.
You had to. I know that your grandmother was somebody that you were really close to, and she inspired the character of Tova in many ways. And it's so funny because when I read this book, 5 years ago now, probably, she reminded me of my grandmother, Jenna, who I'm named after, who lived in West Texas and was a naturalist and loved animals and loved, like all the cats in the neighborhood would move to her house and the people would be like, where'd our cats go? And Henry would live with, there was a real one who would, they'd all live with my grandmother because she was just that kind of woman. And so your grandmother had that same sort of inspiration for you. Did you, what is it like to see this on film, and what do you think she would think of all of this?
I mean, the funny thing is, so my grandma actually looks a little bit like Sally Field.
Oh my gosh.
She's very petite, kind of the same face shape. And when they dressed Sally in the film, they did her hair in a way that kind of, I think, echoed, her hair, her glasses, the clothes she would wear. I mean, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Tacoma, Washington. We wear a lot of wool cardigans, and it's just very kind of the style is very salt of the earth.
Yes.
And that was, always my grandma always had a cardigan on, and they really kind of captured her style via Sally. And then that's not even getting into just, the facial expressions, the way that my grandmother could give you this one little look. And I can't even describe what it is, but she'd give you this look and you would just know she was she did not love this. Whatever was happening was not her favorite. And I feel like Sally captured that so perfectly. It's really, I remember setting foot on set the first day. I spent a week on the set when they filmed up in Vancouver, and seeing Sally Field for the first time walk on dressed as Tova. And I was like, oh my God, it's my grandma. My grandma passed away in 2017, so it's it's the ghost. It's the ghost of my grandma.
Yeah, she didn't get to even see this book be published and the sort of runaway success it's been, but she would probably be delighted by it.
She would be very proud. I would get the look a little bit though, because she was such a private person. I mean, she really was not someone who liked to have her things aired all over the place. And, of course, everything that's in the
book. A little
book,
bit like Tova.
A little bit, yes, very much like Tova.
Yeah.
So I think she would also, there would be a little bit of how dare you?
How dare you? You're like, but it's fictionalized.
It's totally fictionalized.
We have some Read with Jenna questions from Read with Jenna members. But first, actually, we hope this person is a Read with Jenna member, although he may not be. And that's the star. Lewis sent you a question, which we'll actually play.
Awesome. Here's a question for you, Shelby. What was one thing in the film adaptation that surprised you that you never really intended to have in the book, but you felt good, and it felt like it still encompassed what you intended when you first wrote the book.
Do you think is he asking it intentionally? Is there a reason?
Well, I'm wondering because my favorite scene, well, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is not in the book. And it is the scene where Cameron goes to this open mic night at the local dive bar and is playing a Radiohead song, and he kind of comes into his own while he's playing in the bar, hush goes over the bar. And I was actually in the background in that scene. So I sat there in this bar like I was a patron all day and watched. Lewis Pullman was actually singing and playing during that scene. And so I watched him play this Radiohead song probably 100 times. It was such a magical scene. I mean, it really, I think, captured. There were a lot of other scenes from the book that sort of didn't make it into the film, but I think that scene sort of captured the essence of so many of them, of Cameron, his love of music sort of coming from a deeper place inside of him rather than just sort of this oh, my band, Moth Sausage, it's that's my thing, that's who I am. But he realizes that he actually has this more kind of tender musician inside of him as well. And I think that just it was so I wish I had thought of it for the book.
Yeah. You know what's so wild about adaptations and also memory is that I watched that scene when I watched the film. I watched that scene so that I could interview Lewis, and we actually played it, I think, when he was on the show, because it is this kind of iconic moment for his character and also for him, because he is a musician, but he's not a singer. So in order to do that, you just we're not actors. Can you imagine what it takes to do that? And I think it's but what's so wild about memory and adaptation is to me, that was totally in the book. I was
it should have been in the book.
It was in the book. To me, it was. And again, I haven't read this book in 5 years, but because it gets to the essence of who Cameron was as a character. Yeah. So it didn't matter really, but that's so funny. Because when you said that, I was like, what scene was not in the book that she's going to say? And I was like, that wasn't in the book. Feels as though it was,
Yeah, it fit so well, even though it wasn't. And Sally Field sitting in her cardigan in this dive bar, getting annoyed with all the people who are yapping and yapping over him. It's just, oh my gosh, it was such a joy to watch.
Really, I mean, I can't believe you. Can we see you in the background? Is it a little cameo moment?
It's a tiny cameo moment. If you blink, you will miss it. But after he finishes playing and everyone is clapping, I am in there going like this.
I'm going to go back and watch. Okay. I mean, we kind of know the answer to this one, but maybe you can speak to the Lewis of it all. How do the actors compare to who you had in your head when you were writing?
Oh, so perfect. I mean, yeah. I mean, we've already talked about Sally and her role in my drafting process, as it were. When I was writing Cameron, I was kind of picturing a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Who he's closer to my age now. I think he's in his 40s. So I knew he's probably not gonna, I don't know. He looks young. Maybe he could have played a 30-year-old, but, and then when I saw Lewis, when they said, oh, we're thinking of, cause they would call me and say, here's some names that we're thinking of. What do you think? And I remember, looking Lewis up and I'm like, oh, he was the guy from Lessons in Chemistry, the Apple series. But he played kind of older in Lessons in Chemistry, but he was fantastic. And just looking through his photos and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, he is Cameron. He is for sure Cameron. And then when I met him on set, I was like, you are him. I told him, we had a little dinner right before the premiere a couple weeks ago, and I told him he was more Cameron than any Cameron I could have ever imagined. And I was just so grateful that he, the universe brought him here, I think. And I think, in addition to just being individually great for the role, I think the chemistry among all of the actors is really, really what makes it magical. I mean, the chemistry between Sally and Lewis, between Cole Meany, who plays Ethan, and Sally, they're so cute together. It just feels so genuine, and it's a little bit of there's a small romantic-ish arc there. But they just play that line so beautifully between he's flirting, but not like, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
where it's like
magical.
you can't tell, or is it friendly? Is it more? Which is
It
how it
feels
was.
real.
Yeah, which is how
Yeah.
it would be. This is another Read with Jenna question. What was your writing style? Are you a plotter or a pantser? I'm not sure what a pantser is. What's a
Oh,
pantser? Go by the seat of your pants? Is that what
seat
that
of your
means?
pants. Exactly. You got it. Yeah, I love that maybe this person is a
A
writer
pantser.
themselves, because I feel
Yeah.
like that's a thing that writers know. Plotter
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
pantser. I am more of a pantser than a plotter. I wish I were a plotter. I really kind of am envious of the plotters they might have their cork board with all of their index cards or their detailed outline, and they can just like sit down and have their marching orders for the day of like, okay, here's what I'm going to write. My brain, unfortunately, doesn't work that way. So if you sat here and said, make up a plot of a book for me, I would have no idea I have no idea what is a plot? I don't know. I kind of find it as I'm going, and it's inefficient. I end up writing a lot of material that doesn't make it into the book because I make wrong turns and I go down dead ends, and but that's how my brain works, I guess. So yeah, I'm a messy pantser. Oh, that doesn't sound good. No.
That sounds gross. Did you have a significant experience with sea life that inspired the book?
Well, growing up where I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, it's a city that is literally surrounded on three sides by water. And, so much of my childhood was mucking around in tide pools down at the beach. We say beach like it's not like a white sandy beach. These are very rocky,
coast.
muddy, but so much fun for kids because these little tide pools would just have like magic in them, just little treasures. And when I was a kid, we would go camping out on the coast and camp in the dunes and go in the ocean, which is way colder than any ocean I've been in on the East Coast, cold and wild. So I think when you grow up doing that, you just end up sort of steeped in it, and it feels very natural to write stories about it. I had never met an octopus until actually after the book was published, not like met in, it by touch. I'd obviously spent a lot of time observing them from outside the glass, but I have since done it a few times, and it's
I'm
pretty
like,
magical
where
too.
did you meet the octopus? Where did you meet the octopus by touch? What you have to tell us that story?
Oh, well, my first octopus was at the Milwaukee Zoo, the aquarium that they have there, and her name was Chalupa. She was beautiful. She was actually kind of like purpley blue instead of the orange that we think. I mean, I'm sure she would change her colors, but when I met her, she was this gorgeous kind of like marbled purple blue. And she was not happy the day that I came to meet her. She was up in the corner of her tank and she did not want to interact. And we actually might have been people from your show that we're filming.
Oh.
Because they were like, maybe we'll
yeah.
get some B-roll.
I kind of
Yeah.
remember that.
Yes. But I think they didn't get very good B-roll because what happened was they said, all right, well, we'll lower the water level in the tank a little bit, and that will maybe like inspire her to come out of the corner. And so they did that, and she was doubly not happy about that.
Yeah, she's like, put my water back in.
Put my water back in. But she did come over and meet us. And I got to have that little moment, but it was very, very short because she then sprayed water and like went back to her corner. So it was not a instant romance
If
friendship.
only we could know what she was thinking.
Oh, I'm pretty sure she was just annoyed. She got, woke up from a nice nap and had her water taken away.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I don't want to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question, and I have not heard about this, but maybe you did. Did you hear about the octopus that escaped down the drain in a New Zealand aquarium before you wrote the book?
Oh, that was Inky. No, that was after I wrote the book. Or at least maybe it was partway through.
Yeah.
But yes, Inky is famous. He made a break for it and was successful. Which
Where does Inky
go
live?
Inky.
What happened to Inky?
I don't think anyone knows. I mean, I think the assumption is he will. I might be getting this. I feel like this is lore at this point. There's probably different versions of this story floating around. But the version that I'm familiar with is Inky was an escape artist, so like known to get out of his tank, much like Marcellus. And they tried to stop him, but ultimately couldn't, because an octopus does what an octopus wants to do. And so one night he got out and managed to find his way to a drain that goes to the sea. And I think they have it on they have it on video of him going to the drain. But after that, it's like, well, he's not in the drain, so he's in the sea.
Just like Marcellus.
Yeah.
Free as can be. Well, Shelby, congratulations. Well, okay, one last question. Are you writing anything?
I am. It's only about halfway done, but it's getting there.
We're desperate.
It's a very different process this time around.
Well, you're busy.
I've been busy. And then also, like, when I was talking about writing Remarkably Bright Creatures and, like, maybe only 7 people were going to read it, like, there's kind of a freedom in that, right? And now I know that more than 7 people are going to read it, and it's just a different, like, head game to play with myself.
Well, when it comes out, we can't wait. But no pressure to you, and just enjoy it. Enjoy writing it.
I'm really looking forward to getting back into it now that the Netflix press tour is done, and having a nice summer of writing ahead of me.
Well, we can't wait to have in a couple years a summer of reading. So congratulations on everything, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. It's so good to chat with you.
Good to see you. Come in real life soon.
Oh, I would love to.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelby. Thanks so much for joining me on Open Book with Jenna. If you enjoyed our conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And drop us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on who you'd want to see as a future guest. I'll see y'all next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC, or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.